Welcome to the Impact Business Show. I'm your host, Annalise Warren, a marketing agency CEO, business strategist, digital marketing mentor, wife, and mama of 4 little ones. Stay tuned for conversations with successful, purpose-driven business leaders, as well as practical marketing strategies that you can action right away. We are here to help you master your marketing, build your business, and change the world. So let's get into it. Welcome back to the show. Now, in this week's episode, I am speaking with Vanessa Landry. And Vanessa is a sustainability advocate, a former C-suite exec, and a non-profit specialist. She is also the founder of Conscious Footprint, where she helps passionate eco-advocates scale their impact by clarifying their goals and designing a pathway to achieve them with clarity, commitment, and confidence. She combines over 10 years of experience in business strategy, team leadership, and behavioral change with her passion for social impact and sustainability to help individuals set ambitious goals and take empowered action. Vanessa, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
I'm so excited for this conversation. It's been in the works for a while, and I would love to dig into this because I totally on board with this look, listen to my words. Sustainability is something that I really am passionate about, but I would not say that I am an expert in this area. And so I'm really excited to speak to an expert. So that was the official bio. Can you tell our listeners, please, watchers, viewers, what is it that, what do you say that you do when you meet someone?
Yeah, absolutely. So I work with individuals who are super passionate about fighting climate change. So I am a success coach and strategic advisor to people who really want to have an impact. So we all know that climate change is here, it's happening, it's something that we need to take action against. But, as you've said, we don't all know what's happening or what we need to do to take action. There are so many amazing people out there with fantastic ideas. And so I help them to really scope what that idea would look like and how they can put it into action, whether that is a social impact business, whether that is a nonprofit or social initiative, or whether that is setting up their lifestyle to really live sustainably and live off the land or create a small homestead. So really balancing this idea of impact and lifestyle for those people who are passionate about protecting the planet.
Awesome. So good. So let's take a step back. And what is sustainability?
Ooh, big question. I mean, sustainability at its core is really just the belief of sustaining our resources and regenerating them and not depleting them. So we've lived in a way for the past few decades where we're taking resources from the earth and not necessarily paying attention to whether those resources will be there in 50, 100, 200 years. And so we're starting to see these devastating effects of things like modern day agriculture, which are depleting soil health, which means that we're having issues farming enough food to survive for generations to come. We're also starting to see the impact of increased emissions into the environment and like devastation on the oceans not being able to absorb the carbon out of the air. And so in a nutshell, sustainability is really just looking at all these things and thinking about the whole life cycle of what we're doing. So what resources are we using? What is the impact of creating these items or this lifestyle? And how do we make sure that it's not a detrimental impact on the planet and instead a positive one?
So well put. And I think a lot of people just go about their lives, and that's kind of seen as the easier route is to just go to the supermarket, buy the things that are there, regardless of packaging or source or anything like that. What would you say to that?
So, my number one piece of advice to anyone who's just sort of getting started thinking about this is just start making conscious choices. Just start thinking about actually, where is my rubbish going? Where is this plastic material coming from? And where is it going to go at the end? Not only is there no such thing as a way, right? We've got landfills that are overflowing. We have trash going into oceans. But there's also a huge amount of resources and energy that's being used to create items that we use one time. So if instead of doing that, we start thinking differently about our consumption patterns and actually what decisions we're making, we can really start to rewire our thinking and realize the impact that every choice we make has.
Yes. Yeah. I think it's a really good place to start. I think that's a really great place to start. I think that's really good advice. So, how is you talk about sustainability being just one part of your eco impact? Talk to us about that.
Yeah. So, I mean, sustainability has so many facets to it, and there's so many things that we need to look at in order to return the planet to the health that it used to have and it deserves. So a lot of people, when they start out thinking about climate change, they really start with thinking about their consumption patterns, thinking about sustainable living, low waste living, potentially looking at their diet, because what we eat has a very big impact on our carbon footprint. But it's such a bigger and wider issue, and something that we need to think about from all aspects of our lives. So, obviously, yes, we can change our day to day habits, but there's also things like thinking about, where are we investing our money? Because we're in a day and age right now where we need new technologies, green technologies that are going to take us forward. So, renewable energies, we need technologies that are actually going to absorb carbon from the oxygen, the world around us. We need to be investing in green tech. So, actually putting our money into areas like that are going to support our future is a great option that we can all do. There are green banks, there are green wealth portfolio management systems. So you can actually think about it from that perspective. And another huge thing is, we need to get politicians and corporates on board, because the top corporate companies are responsible for the highest amount of emissions. And so if we don't get any regulations in place, and we don't get big business thinking differently and taking steps to undo the emissions that they're putting out there, we're not going to have the same impact. The consumer mentality and the consumer behavior, it's huge, but those consumers also have a political voice. So how you vote, what petitions you support, what companies you support with your dollar, all of that has a massive impact, because we really have to shift as an entire collective, as an entire society, if we want to see a change.
Yeah, so true. And I love that, bringing money into the conversation is what you're doing, because you're right. The things that we care about, we look at our time and our money, right? And so where that goes, and being more conscious about even investments and things, I think that's something maybe not everyone is thinking about. So yeah, I think that's a really great point. So in our businesses, how can we begin to, if we haven't been thinking about this a lot, or if we're just starting a business, how can we start to put things into our business that help us to have a better impact?
Yeah, there's loads we can do. And I've done a lot of research on the topic, and sustainability has so much benefit to a company. Not only in terms of, it's the right thing to do. We have to protect our resources. But that's a prime example. Like, if you are a product-based business, or a company who is using resources from the planet, you need to actually protect those resources to protect your revenue streams. So Unilever is a fantastic company like this. They actually invest in local companies where they use the local resources. So they own Lipton tea, and where they farm most of their tea, they actually invest in educating the farmers so that they can maintain the soil health and maintain the supply of their tea for future generations. And it's one of their largest revenue streams. So actually thinking about it from that perspective as a product-based business of, okay, if I am using resources in any way, if I'm growing anything or I'm creating anything, is there a way that I can then invest back into those local communities to protect that for future and give back? There's also, volunteer programs with your organization or with your staff. So thinking about, okay, what are your staff passionate about? And can they give back their time that you could fund as an organization? So, giving a volunteer day every month or every quarter for them to give back. One of the biggest benefits to the organization is staff retention is so high. And right now, particularly with millennials and Gen Z, the majority of them want to work for companies whose organizations align with their values. So actually thinking about it from that perspective on how do you attract high quality staff? How do you retain your staff? And then how does that staff give back is a fantastic way to look at it. And then of course, thinking about it from a waste perspective. So do you have a low waste office? And what are you doing to actually educate the behaviors of your staff when they leave the office? So, one of the things I did before leaving my jobs and actually starting my own business was I made a company of 250 plus people, a completely zero waste company. And we did that purely by bringing in composting options, by educating them on how to recycle properly and making them take their waste home with them. And the number of conversations that was sparked amongst staff of like, I didn't know I had to wash and dry my recycling before putting it away. Or I didn't know that coffee cups, single-use coffee cups weren't recyclable. It actually changed everyone's perception. And then all my staff, wouldn't you know, they all had reusable coffee cups sitting on their desk by the time I left. They all weren't creating waste anymore because they didn't want the hassle of taking it home. And they were all composting and thinking efficiently. So anything you can do to educate your staff, to educate your clients, it has a huge impact as a business.
So cool. Yay, go you.
Thank you. We did it really cool too. We did it as an overnight takeover. So my staff came in the next day and their screensavers said, "You are now a zero waste office." There was no rubbish bins in the whole building. And they were a little bit shocked, but it was very well received.
Yeah. I love this like ninja tactics of like how cool. I'm sure. Yeah. And I love that the newer generations have this kind of inbuilt and that their values are super important to them. And they seek to work, to purchase from businesses that have similar values, but and work for them. And yeah, that's so cool. We had the founder of B1G1 on the program. Where have you heard of B1G1?
Vaguely, but you'd have to fill in some.
Yeah, no. I just I love every chance to talk about it because I love it so much. So when you were talking about the having your staff give back, B1G1 is you tie a common business practice to giving back in some way, and they work with hundreds, probably more than of different projects. So like giving bikes to kids in Vietnam, or like planting a tree, or educating a child. There's so many different things, and you can say, okay, every time we get a client, we're going to give X amount to that project, or could be for every email that comes in, we, donate 10 cents. Like, it's really that you can just commit a percentage of your business, like activity that you're going to do anyway, and make that be doing good. And for us, we asked our staff what areas were passionate to them, so that money of the things that they were doing, every time they were sending emails, they knew they were having an actual, like, tangible impact on the cause that they had chosen. So it's a really cool initiative. It's really, really cool. If anyone listening doesn't know about B1G1 yet, go and do that. And you can listen to the episode with the founder, Masami, episode 1, I'm pretty sure. So, all right, back to sustainability. All right. Talk to me about some of the things that your clients are doing, or how, what that first step is, what that might look like when you are wanting to start a business, or have an impact in some way bigger than just in your life, but actually start to do something outside your day-to-day that is really contributing to sustainability. How can we start to think about this? How do you encourage your clients? Like, what's that first step?
Well, the absolute first step is belief in yourself, and know that you can have a massive impact. I was just on another podcast talking about this the other day, and sometimes it's so hard to think that we can chip away at such a big issue. But actually, the only people who ever did were the people who believed in themselves, had an idea, and did it. And so I see no shortage of amazing people with ideas on how we can tackle climate change, but then get overwhelmed by this belief that, oh, it's the corporations, it's the politicians that need to do something. So we do a lot of vision casting. We do a lot of, exploration and fantasizing of, if you could look back on your life and say, what is the contribution you had in this fight against climate change? What would it be? And we don't limit our thinking, and we don't limit how that could happen. It's always going to that root of, what is the impact that you want to leave in this world? And then what are all the different pathways that we can take to achieve it? Because anyone who's started a business knows, where we put our time and our focus and our energy is what's going to get done. But we have finite resources. And so we have to really dream big and focus on those big things that are going to move us forward, and then do it in the most efficient manner possible. So we really start with that sort of visualization. And then we look into, what are the various strategies to take this forward? Are there collaborations that we can work with? How can we scale faster and use less resource to get more done? And then we go into testing and taking action and actually making progress towards it.
Awesome. Yeah, I think it all starts with that mindset and that vision, because then as we're walking and we, fall on our faces, we need to be able to, like, look up and see, like, okay, no, I wanted to do that. All right, up we get. Like,
yeah, and keep your motivation, because these are big topics, and having impact is such an admirable thing, but it takes a lot. You do get knocked down. You do fall down a lot, and you have a lot of naysayers saying that, oh, you're just one person. And yeah, but one person can change the world. And we know that from history. So we have to just believe in ourselves. We have to find community as well of other people who are passionate about it as well. So that's one of the things that I love to do, is bring together these passionate eco advocates. And the number of times people tell me, I'm so glad to have found you in your community, because I didn't know there were other people who thought like I did, or who felt the way that I did and wanted to do this. And it's mind-boggling to me that not everyone knows, but that we haven't found each other yet. So I'm trying to bring that community together to inspire each other and really work together for that massive action that we're working towards.
So we'll cover this all at the end, but do you want to mention now what that community is? And while we're here, we can put a little pin in it and come back as well.
Yeah, sure. So I do have a free Facebook community where I run weekly live trainings and talk a lot about how to scale your impact and how to take action. And you can access that by just going to scaleyouриmpact.ca. It is .ca, not .com, because I'm here in Canada. So scaleyourimpact.ca.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Now, I wanted to go back to something that you said, which was collaborations. Now, I talk about this a lot. So could you talk to us about collaborations, about how people might be able to think about this or move forward or approaches, or take this wherever you'd like?
I mean, collaborations are one of the most amazing things ever. Like I said earlier, like we have finite resources, we have finite time. We all have the same amount of time, right? But if we find someone who's working towards the same goal or the same mission, then if we join forces, we've just doubled our time, maybe even tripled, quadrupled. We've just created a flow of additional resource and energy and excitement and community to help us move forward even faster. So I have found, particularly, I've worked in social impact for over 10 years. It's full of collaborations. I've had clients like Greenpeace and WWF and Doctors Without Borders. These are all clients that I've worked with, and they often collaborate with other corporate entities to get a message out there. And so they become the nonprofit front, maybe funding a project, but they bring in scientists to do research, because they don't necessarily have those scientists on staff. I'm working with one client at the moment who's looking at actually creating an eco center in her own school. She's a teacher. She will need to collaborate with other people who have more of that administrative background. She'll have to collaborate with people who understand how to actually build out that center, and potentially also look at for-profit companies to bring in more revenue as well. So really looking at like, okay, what does a center look like, and what are all those skill sets that need to come into that to have the impact that she desires? Because as the change maker, as the person looking to have impact, we're often the visionary, but we don't necessarily have all the skills or all the time or the experience to have the most impact we can. So wherever we can fill that skill set or bring in someone to fill a gap, it's amazing and powerful and just exponential growth if you can find people who have the same vision as you.
Yeah. And how do you help your clients to begin those relationships, or to think about who those people might be?
I actually just did a training on this on Monday. Interestingly
Perfect
enough.
timing.
Yeah. So, we talk a lot about, it's a numbers game at the beginning, right? Is getting your name out there, talking to as many people as you know about what you want to achieve. Because believe me, that when you get out there and you are passionate about a topic, people are going to remember that conversation with you. And then when somebody else says something about a similar topic, they're going to go, you need to meet Annalise. She was amazing, and Vanessa, you guys would have an amazing chat, and they connect you. So number one, getting your name out there and just having people know what you're passionate about and what you're looking to achieve. Number two, being super social and active, networking, being on LinkedIn, connecting with people who have that sort of skill set that you might need. Also, not being afraid to ask. So just going out there and saying, like, I'm looking to do this and I have no idea how to answer this one question. Does anyone know anyone who can help me? And 9 times out of 10, you're going to get flooded with people who are just excited about what you're doing. So, I mean, ultimately, it's about going out there, spreading your word, spreading your message, and you will attract the right people. They will be attracted to you. and want to talk to you.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I totally agree. And I think that something you said is really important when you said having one question and then going, I don't know how to do this. And I think that's a mistake that a lot of people make, that I think it might have been Janine Garner, who is a networking expert, talked to me about in a podcast episode quite a while ago. I think it was her. I hope it was Janine. I hope I'm rightly attributing. But she said, if you're looking for a mentor and or to connect and network with someone, don't go with them with like, this is my problem, like, and lay it all out, or be like, I just need help, like, be more specific. And if you go, this is what I see you doing, I really respect you in this area, how would you move forward with this thing? Or like, do you have advice about this one piece? Most people will take the 5 minutes to give you a resource, or like say, to do something, either connect with you because they can see that you're not trying to, really take advantage, but it's more specific. And I think that then people will, if you ask for a little bit, people are more likely to give you a lot. So I just wanted to touch on that point.
Yeah. And also when you come from a place of, authenticity, and people can tell that you're genuinely grateful for their time, and you offer to repay the favor in whatever way you can, and maybe you can't, but at least you've shown genuine thanks and appreciation for it. Those people will remember you, and they will keep you in their network, and they will pay it forward time and time again. And if you master the skill of networking and collaborations, it really enriches what you're able to do.
Yeah. And when I talk about collaboration, often I'm talking about it from a marketing perspective. So I love that we dug into the skill set side of things as well.
Yeah.
All right. And then how do you help people to take action? Because in my experience, people can get really stuck in the learning, really stuck in the ideation period. And like, it's all fun and games before they have to actually like, put some money down, or like, put themselves in front of the camera, or whatever that step is for them. What's your advice for clients in that area?
It's a great question, because everyone comes to it from a very different place. And the way I explain it is, you have to have a balance of what is your vision and your goal, what is your strategy to achieve it, and what are you going to do to take action. You have to have the balance of all three. And if you aren't doing all three on a daily basis, you will not get anywhere. Because if you just get stuck in this vision loop, you're just dreaming. You're just fantasizing about what you want to do. If you just get stuck in this strategy loop, you're overthinking, you're overanalyzing, and you never get anywhere. And then if you get stuck in execution, but it's not grounded in strategy and vision of where you want to go, then you're just doing busy work. So I work with my clients to make sure that they're focusing on all three at any given point, and they're really getting crystal clear on what that looks like for them. I also work with my clients a lot on, what is productive action? What's the power of focus? And how do you identify what is the most powerful thing to move forward with, that's actually going to really move maybe your business or your initiative or your life forward? How can you identify that one thing that's going to make other things easier for you, and make sure that you're prioritizing that and taking daily action towards them?
Awesome. Yeah, that's really good points. I think I haven't heard it explained in that way with the 3 pieces, but so true. I think that's really helpful. So thank you, Vanessa. How can people get in touch with you? How can people join your Facebook group and get on your live trainings and begin to join your community and think about these things more?
Yeah, absolutely. So the best place to stay in touch with me is that free Facebook group. I do run the weekly free trainings as well as a variety of pop-up workshops and masterclasses. So if you go to scaleyouриmpact.ca, that will take you straight through to the Facebook group.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Vanessa. I really appreciate you taking the time and sharing your wisdom with us and your really great ideas. I think we talked about, some you can hear, for those of you who have my baby is with us and snuffling along. So that's the noise. Thank you for sharing. I think we covered some really actionable tips as well as some really bigger picture kind of prompts for thinking. So I really enjoyed this conversation, and I know that the listeners will as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. It was really fun.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the Impact Business Show. 2 things you should know before you go. First, come and join the party. I'm live with free marketing training in the Social Marketing Method Facebook group every single week. That's where you can ask questions and get the answers you need to simplify your strategy and amplify your income. Go to annalisewarn.com/group to join and come and network with an incredible community of like-minded business owners. Now, second, if you have got any value from this episode, please rate, review, and subscribe, and share it out on your socials. Your support helps us reach more purpose-driven entrepreneurs and increase our impact in the world. Thank you, and I will see you next week. Bye.